You're listening to Easy Travels, an original podcast from Nexion Travel Group. Hello, and welcome back to the Easy Travels podcast, brought to you by the good people at Nexion Travel Group. That's us. My name's Chris, and I'm joined, as always, by Coach Martin Mussey. Hey, Martin, how you doing?
Good, Chris. How are you?
Here we are. Martin, would you like to introduce our special guest for this week?
Absolutely would. Thank you, Chris. Hey, I'm very excited to have with us today Heather Kindred, Vice President of Nexion. And by full disclosure, I'll say this at the beginning, Heather was my first manager here at Nexion. It's been amazing seeing her growth here at Nexion. So with that, Heather, tell us a little bit about yourself. Vice President, that's a big job, big title.
Thank you so much, Martin and Chris, for having me on today. I am so honored to be here. It has been the honor of my life working with you, Martin, and also with you, Chris. So great pleasure there. Well, I'm not sure everybody knows this, but I actually started in the industry working for a cruise line and morphed into becoming a travel advisor. I definitely had travel in my DNA from a very young time and became a corporate travel advisor, did that for several years before moving into the leisure side of it. And I was always that person that loved helping my colleagues get better. And I would show up to the Thursday staff meetings with a tip sheet. And it became sort of a thing that Heather would show up with her tip sheet to help other people in the office be a little bit more efficient, learn something new. I just was sort of an obvious sharer. Fortunately for me, that turned into a job training travel advisors. And I did that for most of my career, where I worked training new or existing travel agents how to be better.
Very cool. Before we pick your brains, Heather, with some questions, since you were the one who technically named this podcast, can you just give us a quick explanation on the origin of Easy Travels? Why do we say Easy Travels and not, I don't know, safe travels, pleasant travels, joyful travels, what have you?
Okay, I never heard joyful travels. I heard safe travels to the point where I just started to cringe when I would hear it. As someone who's been in travel pretty much most of my adult life, I know the statistics that the kind of travel we do where we're on airplanes a lot, that it is so safe that statistically my drive to the airport was much, much more dangerous than getting on that airplane. And it doesn't mean that you don't have some anxiety when you're on that airplane because you feel this sense of in a steel tube flying through the sky. That's normal, right? But I think for me, I wanted to start feeling more like I just wanted to go easy. I wanted no flight delays. I wanted to get through security quickly. I didn't want anything to be broken on the plane or my hotel room not to be ready. And I kind of started feeling really passionate about this. And I had a chat with the team. All of you, I remember we sat down and I said, guys, this has got to change. Like, this is so annoying. And you know, I don't like to be annoyed. I said, this is annoying to me that by the time I get on the plane, I probably heard safe travels 50 times. And I just want my travels to be easy. And we came up with all these different names. Do you guys remember that day?
Yeah.
And at the end, I think we came down to the best one was just Easy Travels, because it just said what we wanted, which was things to go well. And everywhere I go now, I tell people when they say safe travels, I say easy travels, hoping for easy travels today. And I just think it's
kind of all encompassing, right? Like if your travels are easy, it supposedly or implicitly they will be safe also, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you, Heather. Starting with the first and probably most topical question, just you've been in this industry for a long time. Can you talk a little bit about how the travel industry has evolved during your time here? Obviously, it's seen some immense changes in traveler behavior, certainly post-pandemic, but probably, for a long time before that. How has Nexion been adapting to these trends and changes? And what do you see as the biggest opportunities for new travel advisors today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I'm really going to focus on the last couple of years because that's when we've really seen this just incredible transformation of the traveler. The last 2 years, especially 23, 24, and I think going well into 25, we're hearing a lot of phrases like pent-up demand, revenge travel, bucket list, which another phrase I don't like. I like living list travel. And I think that what we saw in the last few years and we're continuing to see is, households with discretionary income, they spent more on travel than they ever had before. They wanted experiences that they realized we're not always going to be an open door for them, that countries were not always going to be available, that getting on an airplane at a moment's notice and going to some new destination, spending time with family, spending time with friends, spending time in new cultures, that was something they really couldn't take for granted anymore. And that's the biggest trend I think that we've seen in the last few years. It's just that desire to get out and do more, which means they're spending more. And that's huge opportunity. I think the fact that people who didn't travel for a while had money to spend, that was a big opportunity for travel advisors. How do I think the opportunity presents itself to our travel advisors is they got to get really, really good at asking a lot of questions, offering bigger experiences, consulting with their travelers on what they really want out of their travel and out of their travel spend.
So fantastic. I think what you've talked about there, Heather, is it brings to mind for me, some of the work that we do within education is really helping advisors, be the best. So with your experience in guiding travel advisors, I think you already talked a little bit about the skills, strategies, maybe. What were some other skills or strategies that you feel separate top performing travel advisors from the rest? And then if you can maybe comment on new advisors and how what they really should focus on for building a thriving business.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think that for someone who is coming new into the industry, I think the idea that you want to know more about less, be an expert in something that you do know things about, but also that you enjoy. So if you are someone that loves cruising and you love the sun, that's an obvious niche for you. If you love the idea of working with theme parks, that's a whole nother side of the business. If you're the kind of person that runs from a theme park, by all means, don't include that in your business strategy. So I think that idea of sort of honing in on something that you really are passionate about, knowledgeable about, but also want to spend your days working in. That makes a lot of sense to me. Sort of the other side of it, Martin, and this is really where you are such an expert, is I think a lot of new and even advisors that have been doing this business for a while forget that they're running a business. And the idea that you're just showing up every day and doing your best and helping your clients, but you don't really have any kind of handle on the finances of your business. Is what you're doing going to make you a profit at the end of the year? Is it going to cover your expenses? Where's that money going? So as you're kind of designing your niche or your business, having a really serious plan to make sure that you're achieving the goals that you want for yourself. Not everyone has a goal of making a lot of money, but everyone has a goal of making some money, covering their expenses, paying for their travel obsession. Whichever it is, it's not right or wrong. It's your goal, but it should be something you take on really strategically, something that you're very good at helping people with.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a quick follow-up, when I talked about top performing travel advisors, we could talk about all kinds of other, metrics, things of that nature. But sometimes I think it just comes down to effort and what they're willing to put into it or can put into it in some examples. But would you agree with that or anything else you see that separates the people at the top?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a few components. If you ask me like the recipe for success, I would say it's a combination of several things. Having a vision or a really good idea, having the skills or the connections or the ability and desire to go get those, persistence, discipline, drive. I don't think that anyone becomes successful or in their own success by being complacent. So all of those things tied together make a huge difference. Now, you can be all those things and still not get what you want, which means you've got to make some changes and change some directions, maybe get some help. And I think those are things that sometimes some of us need. We're not all going to wake up every day feeling that drive and desire. And sometimes we need to call a friend or a business coach.
Well, speaking of non-complacency, so next question, Heather, how is technology shaping the role of travel advisors today? So obviously, the big one here is AI, like emerging tools and innovations that have the potential to reshape the industry. AI is the one that everyone's talking about right now. Do you think that AI, is it going to be sort of analogous to the early rise of the internet, where it will change the industry but not be as disruptive as some people might assume? And I guess the second part of the question is, if not AI, do you think there are other emerging technologies that could potentially shake up the industry?
Yeah, you're definitely talking to the tech person here. Just kidding. I will say, let's be real. For some people, this technology that's coming out, it's not going to have a real effect on the traveler, so to speak. I just met somebody yesterday that has a cell phone but doesn't use it. And not everyone is on the tech bandwagon, and definitely not on the AI bandwagon yet. So I think let's not all freak out that all of our clients and potential clients are going to go out and book their travel using AI, because I think there's a ton of people out there that just won't touch that with a 10-foot pole, at least for now. A lot of people are the wait and see how that works for you kind of people. But for those of us and for travelers that do embrace technology, I think that just like with the internet, we have to have that same mentality that says our clients are going to come to us even more knowledgeable than they were before. Is that a negative? I don't think so. I think that you can look at it as opportunity. If they come to you and they've already done this research and AI told them that this is the right vacation for them, you're still a human being that's going to vet that for them. So use it, right? In terms of emerging tools and innovations, revolutionizing the industry, yeah, I think it's going to be insanely awesome. And I think we're going to see some growth that's going to be incredible. I hope that AI and the combination of that with a good customer relationship management tool, a CRM, will just help us be more professional. And for goodness sakes, I hope it makes our work easier. Because that would be ideal. If we could do more good and work less hard, I think that would be an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, totally agree. And sometimes we're in the position to have to show and lead the way sometimes and help people overcome that fear. You know what? I want to bring us back to a little bit to the beginning where we started, because you had mentioned, Heather, that it's absolutely right that, people have this desire to get out. They're spending more, but in spending more, I think we know that travelers really expect a personalized experience. So what kind of advice do you have for travel advisors who really want to stand out?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the job of the travel advisor is getting a little harder, because I think that you're going to come to the table with an expectation that's going to be higher than if I'm just going out on the internet and booking something, or I'm using an online booking tool. And I think that we need to give them that personalized experience, that personalized touch. I have noticed in the last year or so, a lot of travel advisors getting very creative with foreign independent travel or flexible independent travel, which we call in the industry an FIT or fit travel. And while that does give a highly personalized service or experience to that client, it's also a lot of work. And you're oftentimes piecing together 5, 10, 15, 20 different components to put a trip together. And what I would encourage someone who wants to have that very custom experience for their traveler is look at some of the fantastic travel partners that are out there that are packaging up some of these experiences, curating these moments, and let them do that heavy lifting for you. Because I think in the end, you have a partner in that, and you're not there alone picking your 10 or 20 components and packaging it all together, which is very labor intensive. Now, on the other hand, Martin, if you are doing that fit travel, make sure that you are getting compensated for it. And make sure that you're getting compensated well, because think about the idea of a custom built home versus a sort of track home in a development that's very cookie cutter. That costs more, and it should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for certain. Yeah. Anything else to add on that topic?
Well, for me, I've just spent the last few weeks surrounded by some incredible travel advisors. And I think that when I come away with listening to them tell their stories about how they became successful, a lot of these are Circle of Excellence winners. The relationship piece of being a travel advisor today is paramount to the success of your business. Building a trusting, open, transparent relationship with the clients that you enjoy working with. So they come back to you multiple times during the year and year over year, and they're referring you and your business to their trusted friends and family. I think that is something that I'm seeing that's very successful and a very big component of those top producing. And I want to say also, it's not always about top producing, it's about being happy with the work that they're doing.
Wise words, wise words. Thank you so much, Heather. I think this is bringing us to a close today. I want to thank you for being our guest because you've made this very exciting. The only guest that Chris and I have had is each other. So
I do have one more question for you before we go. This is a very important question. I find it to be very revealing about a person's true character. It says a lot about a person, how they answer. So think carefully. So, Heather, what I'm going to ask you right now is, if you had to choose between one of the two, would you rather fight 10 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? You have to fight 10 horses the size of ducks or one duck the size of a horse. This is a classic question. I think reveals a lot about a person's true nature. Which one would you choose?
I'm going to say I'd probably take the flock of duck-sized horses over the one big duck.
Hard agree. Strongly agree. Horse-sized duck is terrifying.
yeah. I don't want to even think about that. Well, thanks, Chris, for putting that image into my brain. I do know that one of the things that we're especially grateful for you today, Heather, is I know that you're doing this from another location because you're about to get on a plane today and hopefully head home. So I know one of the things we have left to do is say easy travels to you.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, Heather, and easy travels back home.
Thank you both so much. You guys have a great weekend.
You too.
If you have enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Drop us your thoughts or even show topic ideas in the comments of this episode or email us at communications@nexion.com.